Good morning. Thanks for joining us on this very important program today. I'm Tom Conklin, and what we're talking about today is protecting the elderly from financial abuse. And it's a very important topic. And joining me on the program this morning, I have three guests in the studio. First of all, we have Paul Gentile. He's the CEO of the Cooperative Credit Union Association. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Tom. Great to be here.
Good to have you, sir. Graziola is here as well, Elder Services Client Services Supervisor. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
And we also have Cindy Shogry-Raimer here, who's the Director of Community Development at Greylock Federal Credit Union. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. This is a pleasure being here today.
Well, I'm really happy that we can have you guys out today because this is a very important topic and one that is becoming increasingly difficult to deal with the advent of the internet and social media and things like that. So first of all, I don't know who wants to start. Paul, I guess you want to talk about how big this problem is and what it is exactly.
Sure. Unfortunately, Tom, elder financial abuse is a big problem in our country. It's about $30 billion in fraud a year, and that's probably low because a lot of it goes unreported. Sometimes people are embarrassed to come forward with their stories about what happened. But elder financial abuse is basically when an elder gets taken advantage of from someone and gets access to their funds, whether willingly or unwillingly. You have fraudsters that do the typical scams, calling, say they won the lottery, things like that. But you also have the more, harder ones to deal with, where family members are actually part of the fraud of the elder. So it's a real challenging problem to deal with. Our elders are vulnerable in a lot of ways. Some of them, as they get older in life, they're having their own challenges, maybe mentally or physically, so they might be a little more vulnerable than you or I at this point. And so it's really something that the credit unions of Massachusetts said, we want to do something about this. We know it's a big problem, so what can you do? So to us, the best way to fight something like this is education. So we put together a program called Credit Union Senior Safeguard. It's an online interactive program that educates caregivers and elders about elder financial abuse and what can be done about it, all the resources that the state has, that the federal government has, and where they can go when they suspect elder financial abuse.
Right.
We're also training our credit union professionals on the frontline staff, so when they suspect something, they know what to do. So it's a big problem, and we're just trying to make a dent in this.
Yeah, it certainly is a big problem, and well, that's certainly a great step in working on this issue. Do you want to talk a little bit about the difference between scams that are perpetrated, and you also mentioned how sometimes it is, unfortunately, a family member, and you guys feel free, obviously, to chime in, and I want to talk individually about what you guys do, too, as well.
Great. I think, Cindy, you probably have some great stories from the front line of Greylock, but just, on a high level, believe it or not, some of the scams that you think would not work do work, unfortunately. So the lottery scam is one of the ones we mentioned.
Right.
Somebody might walk into the credit and say, I need to wire $10,000 to this person.
Yeah.
I won the lottery. And you would think if you tell them, hey, you're being scammed, you're being defrauded, they might be deterred, but oftentimes they still want to wire the money. So that's something we deal with on a social level. How do you handle that elder in that situation?
Right.
Another popular one that we hear is the phone call about their grandson is in jail and they need bail money and can't tell the parents. We don't want to get them in trouble, and so we need your information. So these things are all just out there, and elders, I think, are a little more susceptible because they're answering the phone. They want to talk to people. So I think we'll get into it later, what some advice is, but really, don't hang up the phone. Somebody starts answering for personal information. You never have to give personal information over the phone to a reputable organization. So there's some of the things that we see.
Right. Kara, you, I'm sure, get reports and you hear from the elderly population quite a bit, I'm sure, on this particular thing.
Yes. Directly, we are working with elders in the community, in their homes. We have a lot of our staff at our office are going into homes, working with elders over the age of 60 is primarily who we are servicing. So, sometimes we get calls from our consumers that their family member or daughter is maybe managing their finances, and then all of a sudden they're getting shut-off bills, or shut-off notices for electric, and it's like, well, why isn't this bill being paid? And then we start to really get suspicious that maybe something is going on.
Yeah, right.
We have direct care workers that are also going into our consumers' homes. Again, they might be going in, once or twice a week, and if the the elder consumer is sharing with them that my daughter's been taking money, my son, my grandchild, even just friends that are coming in, something's not right, or we've had even other types of thefts that are causing elders to be taken advantage of.
Sure.
So we try to educate our elders just about don't give people your information, bank account information. If someone calls you asking for your personal information, you need to hang up. I know that can be hard for some elders. They like talking to people on the phone. They don't get a lot of contact throughout the day. So here's some nice person on the phone that wants to talk with me. So, why? Okay, sure. I'll give you money and I'll give you my information.
Sure. Some of these folks can be pretty slick, too, with trying to get that information out of you, making normal conversation, I'm sure, and kind of slipping in, oh, by the way, what's this and what's that, and just little bits of information.
And we have a lot of elders in the community with dementia and with memory issues, and they may not really understand what's being asked, or if they're hard of hearing, they may not really know what is being asked, and they may give information out that they shouldn't be. So, and we do get a lot of calls, because I think people in Berkshire County hear Elder Services of Berkshire County, so we're kind of the go-to place to at least initially call when there is a concern from someone about some financial exploitation. And it is sad. A lot of it is families that are taking advantage of their grandparent, parent. We've seen, unfortunately, a lot of issues with siblings who are now fighting over, mom and dad's income and finances, and I want this, you want that, and, siblings calling and saying, my sister took, money from my mom, and, so it's a lot.
It's not, I would assume, in some situations, it may be a case where, well, I'm taking care of mom, and, I need, $300 to pay this bill or whatever, and mom lives here. It's not all right just to take money out of mom's account. Somebody may think it's okay to take some of that money.
Possibly. I don't know. I mean, I think if you have someone who's on your account with them, your bank account, they probably maybe think that they have access to that money whenever they want.
Right. I guess that's where I was going.
But I guess too, I mean, if it is a joint account, but I still think the person that is on the account with you would need to at least be okay with what's happening.
Okay.
The
sure.
money.
Okay, Cindy. I know that. In fact, I've actually had times where I've gotten warnings about people, trying to use my account to make a purchase, and I'm sure that happens even more to the elderly population. So the folks at Greylock, I'm assuming, are very well trained in how to deal with this and how to see warning signs, maybe?
Absolutely. We use a combination. We do a lot of in-house training. We also recently trained on even Alzheimer's awareness, because as Kara noted, that really complicates the matter when somebody thinks they came in once and they've been coming in like every single day. So between having our staff really looking and getting to know you, I mean, they engage. You see your favorite teller. Sally comes in every week at 3:05 and she takes $100. Now Sally's coming in every single day. So there's patterns, and we also have like algorithms on our core where we run to look for different patterns. So our risk management department, because I was in operational risk for 7 years, we look at different patterns of people and it pops alerts. And then we do reach out, we call, we check, we research. Is this legitimate? Is this a normal behavior? So it's tough, because in the age of electronics now, But back in the day when I started many, many moons ago, it was, your traditional take money out of the wallet, maybe slide the checks out of the middle of the book. And as Kara noted, unfortunately, there's a huge prevalence of family fraud out there, which is so heartbreaking because not only are you losing money, but now you've been defrauded by someone that you love and trust and need.
Yeah.
So it's very complicated. They do not want to prosecute. So even Paul said so much of this goes unreported. The numbers he gave were mind-blowing, but I'm going to tell you it's probably double that.
Yeah.
But with the electronic aspect, what we do see now, all you need is that routing number and that account number. So your friends, siblings, fraudsters, they get those two pieces of information. Now suddenly you're not only paying your cable bill as an elder, you're paying somebody else's. There's things going through and purchases. When I see different trips and purchases out of places that there's no way that this particular person went to, even had the means or desire to do, those kind of pop. And those are where you need to really investigate and say, did you actually approve this or do this?
This is sort of for everybody, I guess, now with things like social media, Facebook, and other ways to contact people and to be in touch, and to it's another way that these folks can get a hold of the elderly population and get information from them. Do you guys see that with social media the problem is growing?
It's grown
Does it affect it?
exponentially,
Yeah.
especially like with grandparent scam. You have Facebook, you have Twitter, you have all these different places that people access, and a lot of people don't know how to protect and actually shut down their information, or they overshare. So now a fraudster can just queue up your name, and if you've got pictures, oh, here's my grandson, and you state the name, and you've got pictures of houses. I mean, we've actually conducted this in Risk where we've just researched people through social media. We can tell you where they work, the name of their pets, the name of their kids. So if you really want to call somebody, especially on the phone with an elderly person, you can sound like their best friend in the world, because you're going to be able to share all this personal information that they're going to think is unique, but theoretically the whole world can see it because it's on social media, it's being openly shared, and now it's being used against you. It's very dangerous out there to overshare.
For sure. We're talking this morning with Paul Gentile, Kara Graziola, and Cindy Shogry-Raimer about protecting the elderly from financial abuse, a problem that is growing very large in this country. And how do we prevent this, guys? I mean, what can we do? I know you have a program you want to talk about.
Yeah, I just, one thing I wanted to mention is, a lot doesn't get done in Washington, D.C. these days, right?
Yeah.
But we did have something happen that was pretty good earlier this year. There was a bill passed as part of a bigger bill called the Senior Safe Act. And what it does is it gives financial institutions a little more ability to, if they suspect financial fraud, to take action. But prior to that, you could be, liable or, have some legal ramifications. But now our credit unions are empowered to maybe be a little more proactive. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'd also note the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the Division of Banks here that regulates all the credit unions and the banks, they've made this one of their priorities. So they've put together a lot of great information for the institutions to use to look out for elder financial abuse and what they can do. And they're very helpful from the regulatory standpoint. If you suspect something, they will help in getting the right people involved. Obviously, the local folks that Kara represents, they're probably the best because locally that's where people trust, that's where they go to. So I think that's all great. So there's a lot of resources out there. The key is, do people know about those resources? That's one of the reasons we started Credit Union Senior Safeguard, and we're going to be promoting it on the airwaves, on television, and print ads. We want people to know that it's out there so they can find more information about it.
Right.
But again, we said this earlier, one of the great things for elders to know is, that you should not be giving personal information over the phone. Don't feel bad about hanging up on people. And, getting onto an account as a joint account holder, that's a really big deal. Once you get on somebody's account as a joint account holder, you really have the ability to make just about any type of transaction. So something like that, that's a major thing that, they have to know that they're giving access to really their funds from here on out. So all those things have to be looked at.
What are some of the warning signs, I guess? Say an elder is talking to somebody on the phone what can start to give it away to them that maybe they're being scammed or being taken advantage of?
One of the real critical things, especially working at a financial institution, we never, ever are going to ask you for your PIN number. And that one is rampant. We We'll never ask that. We have no access. And we're not also going to ask you your account number. So when the fraudsters, oh, what is your account number? Where do you bank? And we have your account number. If you called me, I know your name, I know your account number. I'm not going to ask you to give that to me when I already have it, and there is no way any of our staff would even want to risk any implication by asking for a PIN number. It's not necessary. So getting those critical pieces of information, as soon as you do that with the technology that's out there, they can go out immediately and create a piece of plastic with a little magnetic strip on the back, and now they have access to your accounts. They can go to any ATM virtually anywhere in the world that, services, Visa, MasterCard, American Express. They have the access. So the scamming that we're seeing, yes, a lot of it is local. Yes, a lot of it is your friends, family, neighbors. But then at, the big national levels with, the different breaches out there and all the information on the dark web, it is so easy from a technological standpoint to just pull these funds out now.
So on one end of the spectrum, you've got the internet and, as you meant, the dark web, as you called it. Certainly, do we still see problems from things like people, going through garbage and finding addresses and social security numbers and things like that, credit card numbers?
There's one of my passions, I call it the Come Steal Me flag. And in Berkshire County, there's a lot of rural areas, and they mail bills and whatnot by putting it in their mailbox. And then they put the little flag up. And as soon as that little flag is up, now you have a check in there. And actually, 2 weeks ago on my street, somebody went through and opened every single mailbox, and my neighbor's tax payment had been stolen from his mailbox, because what they can do now is take that check and either create new checks and have them drawn off the account, or simply wash it. I mean, you name it, we've seen it. They'll wash the check, make it payable to them, cash it out like a small little convenience store.
Right.
So they're just accessing the funds any way they can through a variety of means.
Yeah, wow, that's something else. So I want to talk a bit about the information that's available on the website, bettervaluesbetterbanking.com. Tell me about that a little bit.
First of all, bettervaluesbetterbanking.com, that's where you can go for it. That's sort of the slogan for the credit unions of Massachusetts. We feel very passionate about that. Better values. Credit unions are not-for-profit financial cooperatives, so we give value back to our members by, we're not there to make money off them and please shareholders. We're there just for their financial wellness. So better values, better banking. Banking, we want people to know what we do. We offer financial services, and we do it very well. So on that website, you can learn all about credit unions, and while you're there, you can go to the CU Senior Safeguard link, and you can go through the training module. Very interesting training module. It takes a little over an hour, but a senior can do it, or a caregiver, in snippets. It's broken up into different modules. Okay. So each module is about 10 to 12 minutes, so you can do it at your pace. It asks questions at the end, so you can know if you really digested the information. And the big thing is, so it gives a lot of great information on awareness, but also at the end there's all links to things where agencies and local places that you can go to get support. So it's just a great awareness tool. And we're also hoping, just by spreading this word, that maybe, and this is high hopes, maybe some fraudsters will think twice that people are out there trying to stop this thing, and that, credit unions, we're really steeling ourselves to make sure that we're looking at all the right things to protect our elders. So education's so important. That's what credit unions really believe in, financial education. It's funny, we've always spent our time on financial literacy with the young kids. We do a lot of programs in schools.
True.
But, as we've seen this bubble up, we said we have to shift some of our focus to the elder population that's very vulnerable.
Yeah, for sure. And it's good to know that there are, like I said, there's a number of resources you can go to, that being one of them, the website, and also elder services, and also your local credit union people that work there can certainly help you if you suspect anything is going on. Yeah,
we encourage, please talk with us. I mean, even with checks, we have a system called True Checks, because there's so many scams now where you get a check if you're selling something where it's over the amount, and now they want you to send the money back that's over and above what they sent you, and that check itself is no good. So if that check has popped anywhere in the system that's linked to that, we'll get you an answer immediately and let you know that this check is no good. We'll take it, because unfortunately, if the folks do negotiate that check, they then become liable, which is so heartbreaking, because they work so hard for their money.
Sure. So you mentioned before about people maybe not wanting to come forward because it's a family member, and they don't want to, they're embarrassed maybe, or they don't want to get that person in trouble. I'm assuming there are situations where maybe somebody could be either blackmailed or being threatened. Is another reason why they may not come forward. And what would they do in that case?
Yeah, that I mean, that can get tricky. You know, we would try to work with that elder and see if we can get them alone and try to, you know, say, is your whoever family member, whoever might be taking money from you, are they threatening you? But again, it is really difficult. They don't want to press charges against family. You know, they'll say, well, it's my daughter, she needs money. What you know, and they're not understanding that, you know, what's happening is that your daughter's really doing something wrong and doing, you know, that money isn't hers, or, you know, whoever's taking it from you. We also, if we get reports of financial exploitation, we have to file a report with Adult Protective Services. We do have the local agency is Berkshire Elder Protective Services, so we would also get them involved to investigate what's going on.
Okay. Are there certain preventative measures that elders and also their loved ones can take to avoid these situations?
Like we said, it's just the educational factor. It's okay to hang up. Please look at your statements. Question, you know, go to the people that you trust. Question if you have any checks or anything that's unusual on your statement. Come to your financial institution. We have so many resources. We can help you block it. We can get money back in many cases, but it's that little healthy degree of suspicion, especially on the phone, asking certain questions. So when we stress, don't give out account numbers. When people are calling you didn't initiate the call, you're getting these rogue phone calls asking social security number, account number, PIN number, saying they're the IRS. The IRS does not call your cell phone. Absolutely not. So giving just the more educated we can help folks be, the better, and let them share the stories. So when we do go to different senior centers and we do fraud speeches and seminars, they do open up, they share, and then it's really great to have your friends and neighbors say, hey, that happened to me. It takes the stigma away, because the stigma can be very paralyzing, and it blocks Kara as well as me from helping to the degree that we really need to be able to.
Yeah, for sure.
I would just note also, just on the longer term level, right? This is why estate planning is so important. You know, I went through this with my father. My father, unfortunately, had dementia, and me and my two brothers, you know, the powers of attorney was laid out, the will, who did what, you know. So I was the financial guy, so I handled the financials, but always in close contact with the rest of the family. That whole family dynamic of planning and making sure the right people are in the right place is something the elder could do way in advance as a estate planning process, so maybe you could avoid some of this stuff, you know? So there's obviously the immediate things, but also I think we should all think about how do we want things to look as we get older in age, when maybe we're not on top of things as we, you know, used to be when we were younger. So I think it reminds us that estate planning is really important, and not to think that you have to be wealthy to need estate planning. There's lots of tools today where you can get some estate planning very affordable to protect your resources. Yeah,
and there's no discrimination, you know, as far as how much wealth somebody has. That, you know, if you, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's no remorse by folks that may be trying to take advantage of them. Maybe family members, of course, would have some remorse, but certainly not a scammer. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd also just note the technology today has made it so easy for people to get defrauded, but it's also powerful, can do good things as well. So if you have somebody that really is the right person to monitor these accounts, there's all sorts of tools that credit union can offer today, where if a transaction of a certain level goes through, somebody could be texted, they could be emailed, they could know right away that there's a transaction going on. You could stop transactions in certain geographic locations if you know the person's never going to be out of the area. So the technology that has helped the fraudsters also can really help you protect yourself and notify you when there's something going on with your account, you know. And also, you know, on a very basic level, automatic payments, setting things up that you're going to normally pay. Maybe you take that out of the hands of somebody, writing a check for for the power company. You set these things up that can be done automatically, so you know it's being
Right.
done the right way.
Right. Okay. We are talking with Paul Gentile, the CEO of the Cooperative Credit Union Association. Also, Kara Graziola is here, Elder Services Client Services Supervisor, and Cindy Shogry-Raimer, Director of Community Development at Greylock Federal Credit Union. And we're talking about protecting elders from financial abuse, a very important topic. We just have a few minutes left here, so I don't want to run out of time without getting some important information in here. Are we missing anything?
I just wanted to say at Elder Services, we do have a volunteer money management program. So it could be another way for elders who are maybe even just having money, having trouble paying bills. We do have volunteers that can go into their homes to help make sure their bills are being paid. And they, also another set of eyes checking their bank account to see if there is something going on that doesn't look right. Again, because elders either have dementia, poor dexterity, can't write out checks, can't see well, so then aren't able to then really review their bank statements if they don't have anyone who can. So that's a program we offer at Elder Services as just another way to maybe at least help prevent something or just make sure that someone is able to manage their finances and get all their bills paid.
Cindy, anything you want to add?
I've actually recommended that service, and then when I deal with more egregious cases and I'm with Elder Protective Services, they actually do have representative payee setups that are out there where they have been vetted by the company and they will be able to manage the bills for you, so that way you are protected. Your bills and everything are being paid by somebody that's fully certified. They are your rep payee, and they're keeping an eye on everything, and they do have access to your statements. So we in the financial institutions can work with them to check into anything, look at statements, and really help dispute anything that needs to be done. So we definitely do cross referrals to our partners in the community.
Okay, that's a good thing. Paul?
Yeah, just want to remind everybody, bettervalues.betterbanking.com. That's where you can go on and see CU Senior Safeguard. And not just for the elder, they're caregivers, people in their family who want to understand the different ramifications of all this. That's out there. It's free. It's great. It's interactive. And, the other thing I would note is it's good to see that our regulators and our authorities in Congress are really focused on this issue now. So I think the fraudsters out there, they're going to do what they do, but there's a lot more penalties today, and people are really focused on this, and there's a lot of ways to track things down. So I think the country itself is waking up in the right areas. We just have to keep educating.
Sure. There's a lot of help out there, a lot of resources you can go to. Of course, the website that Paul just mentioned, by the way, we will keep that on hand here in case somebody didn't get a chance to jot it down or forgets. You can certainly ask me, and I will make sure you get that website. Certainly contact Elder Services. And of course, Greylock Federal Credit Union or your bank, whoever your banking is, whoever your financial institution is, they're there, to help you. So, contact them. Guys, thank you so much for being here today. This is really informative.
Great.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much.
All right. So, Paul Gentile, thank you so much. Kara Graziola and Cindy Shogry-Raimer, we really appreciate your time here today on this very important topic of protecting the elderly from financial abuse. I'm Tom Conklin. We're going to have to wrap it up for now. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll talk to you again. Thank you.